Hello everybody, welcome to my review of RahXephon, the series. Not the film, because I haven't seen the film yet. But, actually no, that's not strictly true. I can do a sort of partial review of the film, which I might do in initial thoughts, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to watch the film again, because I think the first time I watched it, I haven't actually seen all of it, but the first bit of it that I watched, I wasn't really paying too much attention. So I'm going to watch it again, but I will do a partial initial thoughts of it at the end of this video. So anyway, RahXephon review. Okay, RahXephon. The thing with RahXephon is, I know people say that it's like it's less complicated than Evangelion. No, it's not less complicated than Evangelion. If anything, this is what I got from watching it. It's obviously not. This is just my opinion. I personally think it's more complicated than Evangelion. There is an episode that I think is around the episode, I think it's 15 or something mark. Might be a bit later than that. 15 or so. I'm thinking 15. That is, the whole episode is flashback. It's a flashback episode. I mean, I understand what it now, because I've seen the whole series. It's the characters eat ski and the blonde one that I can't remember the fucking name of, the blonde woman. And the Barber Institute and all that. But spoilers, by the way, there could be spoilers in this, which I should have said at the start, really. But anyway, so there will be spoilers in this. So like Barber Institute and things. But at the time when I was watching it going, what the fuck is going on in this episode? Who the fuck? I didn't realise that those were who the characters were, because I've been used to seeing them as the normal characters that I was used to, and then it was only when I saw them again, when the show went back into the normal flow of time, that I realised who the characters were. But I was watching it going, who the fuck are these characters? What is going on? Like, why are they in this house with some teacher? I think they called him the teacher or something. It made no sense to me. The show itself is very good. It's a very good show. Kamina, the character of Ayato, or Kamina, or whoever you want to say, I'll say Ayato. The character of Ayato is brilliant. It starts off at the start of the series. He's a bit like Shinji from Evangelion in a way, because he doesn't want to pilot the RahXephon. He gets saved by the Misato character. What's her fucking name? I have completely forgotten what her name is. Oh god, that's really bad. I've completely forgotten what her name is. But if you've seen the show, you know the one I mean. I think that she might be on the back of the box. Yes, she is. It's that character there, with the sort of headband and the purple hair. I cannot remember her name for shit, but it's that character. He gets saved by that character, who is pretty much, Misato. She's the Misato character of this series. There are a lot of characters that are similar to characters in Evangelion. They're not exactly the same, but they are similar. Like, for example, Ayato is similar to Shinji. The character I just showed you that I can't remember the name of is similar to Misato. Kwon, the character of Kwon, is similar to Rei. There's not really a character similar to Asuka, as far as I'm aware. But Shinji, Misato, and Rei, they like Ayato. The character I can't remember the name of. I'll remember it in a minute, and it will really piss me off. So Ayato is similar to Shinji. The character I can't remember the name of is similar to Misato. Kwon is similar to Rei. There's a lot of similarities, and I think that's where partly, I know it's not entirely, but I think that's partly where it got its stick, because RahXephon got a lot of stick when it first aired in 2001. I think it was 2001, for being a copy of Evangelion, which, if you've seen the series and you've watched it from start to finish, yes, it's similar. Some of the characters are similar to characters in Evangelion, the way they act and things. But on the whole, it's not a copy, because the story goes off in a very complicated, like I said, even in my opinion, even more complicated than Evangelion way. It goes off extremely complicated, especially towards the end. It gets extremely complicated towards the end. But I mean, I watched the last episode, and it got to a point where I was like, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't paying 100% attention while I was watching it, but it was something to do with, again, spoilers if you haven't seen the series, major ending spoilers here. It's basically a battle, if you will, between Ayato and Kwon, and there's like RahXephons or dolems that represent Ayato and Kwon, and it's to do with the painting, and it's just extremely complicated, and I don't understand. I'll have to watch I am actually in the process of watching the series again. I think I've watched the first 2 episodes. I'm in the process of watching it again because I didn't really pay as much attention as I should have the first time. So that's that. Very good series. Complicated, extremely complicated towards the end. Characters similar to Evangelion, but not. Likeable characters. Ayato is an extremely likeable character, in my opinion. There's a lot, and I mean a lot, of characters that you will not like in this series. Kwon, I started off liking Kwon. Kwon became, well, she became very. She's an extremely important aspect of the series towards the end. So now I'll do a sort of partial sort of review of the RahXephon movie, which is called Pluralitas Consentio. Now, I was under the impression before, and again, this is not a full review, I've only watched about an hour of it, so this is not a full review, but it's partial initial thought review. I was under the impression before I saw it that it was going to be a different version of the story. And it started off as such. Again, spoilers if you haven't seen the film. It starts off with Mishima, Mishima is another character in the series that is extremely important throughout, so look out for that. It starts off with Mishima and Ayato in school, and they're a couple, and they're going about their lives and things, and they're going about their lives, and the Mu attack the city in a different way to how they do it in the series. They attack the city. Well, no, they don't attack the city. No. The Mu bring down the absolute barrier. And Mishima and Ayato get separated. Ayato gets stuck on the inside of Tokyo Jupiter, and Mishima gets stuck. Yeah, Ayato gets stuck inside of Tokyo Jupiter, and Mishima gets stuck outside of Tokyo Jupiter. And you would think, from the way the plot builds, that the film is going to be about Ayato finding Mishima, and in a way it is, but from that point, the first sort of 15 minutes of the film, you think this is completely different to the series. after 15 minutes into the film, when it carries, sort of when it gets going, it starts to turn a bit sort of Death and Rebirth-ish. Now, what I mean by that is, it starts becoming a recap of the show, like events, the way that. So you'd think at the start, so it's different. You have, Ayato, Mishima, they get separated when the absolute barrier comes down. That doesn't happen in the series. That does not happen in the series. It's not the way it works. But after that, the events of Ayato finding the RahXephon, okay, they're slightly different, but he still meets up with, the woman that I can't remember the name of. I'll remember her name in a minute. Hang on, let me just think. Oh, God. I'm going to be really pissed off in a minute. Haruka! Jesus Christ, there we go. Haruka Stowe. That's who it is. I'll just remember their name now. He still meets up with Haruka. She still takes him to the room of Ra. He still enters the RahXephon in the same way he does in the series. And all the events of Ayato finding the RahXephon, going to the room of Ra, defeating the Dolems, joining Terra, are exactly the same as they are in the series. And I'm thinking, what is this? Is this different or is this the same? Because it started off like it was different and then it became the same. And when I mean Death and Rebirth-ish, what I mean by that is, and here's a brilliant example of this, there's a scene where Ayato, this is in the film, where Ayato is talking with Asahina, one of his friends from Tokyo Jupiter, about him piloting the RahXephon, him wanting to find Mishima and all this. And it literally cuts from that, and this is serious, this is seriously how it works, right? It cuts from that conversation, so it goes like this, right? Like, conversation, next scene, right? And it goes from the conversation, and the next scene it skips to, like that, literally like that, is the final 30 seconds of a battle with a Dolem. And if you've seen Death and Rebirth, Evangelion film, the editing on that film is shocking. It really is. I know it's meant to be a recap and things, but the editing is really, really bad in that film. But yeah, that's what I mean when I say it's Death and Rebirth-ish, because it will cut from mid-conversation to halfway through a battle, like that. And there's a lot of plot points that I've noticed this with the film, with the bit that I've watched, about the hour that I've watched. There's a lot of plot points that are important in the series, like extremely important plot points in the series, that in the film they just completely ignore and cut out. And it's just like, well, like the bit in the series where Haruka and Ayato are in the jet and they get pulled into the room of Ra by Mishima singing. It pulls them into the room of Ra. Before that, there's a scene with Ayato and Haruka in the car, and they're going to the base to get the jet. Now, that is a very important conversation because it's basically explaining a lot of the backstory to the series, right? You still have that conversation, but they just cut it mid conversation. You don't see the full conversation, and there's about a few bits of very important plot that you don't see, and it's extremely, extremely frustrating. So, finally, I'm going to say this: RahXephon series, extremely good. The film, not so much. I'm actually a little bit disappointed with the film, to be honest, because I was very much looking forward to seeing it. But like I said, I'm going to watch it again. I'm watching the series through again, and I'll watch the film again, and we'll see. I'll probably do a re-review of the series and film when I've seen them all. So there we go. That's my review of RahXephon the series and partial review of the film.